Wichita State has 30 wins, LeBron James made a fashion statement out of a broken nose, and Schoolboy Q dropped a new album. What's good in college basketball? Find out now on the Inferno. Play the music. Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the Inferno, straight out of Phoenix. I am your host, Lucas Robbins, and joining me today are three men armed with whiteboards. We have Miles Todd.
Go for the vine.
Joe Cortez.
Get buckets.
And Anthony Mitchell.
Hua.
The Sun Devils hosted the Stanford Cardinal in a late Wednesday night matchup in Tempe. Jahi Carson was the story of the night as he dropped 26 points, with 23 of those coming in the second half. ASU would go on to win 76-64, thus ending Stanford's three-game winning streak. That win over Stanford got the Devils to the 20-win mark. With Arizona and UCLA at the top of the Pac-12 standings, ASU is now in a four-way tie for third place with Colorado, Stanford, and Cal. However, the tie will be broken after the Sun Devils and Golden Bears face off Saturday evening. Gentlemen, what are the keys to this matchup?
I don't want to oversell this, but this is a huge game if ASU wants to punch that ticket to the big dance. And I got three keys for the game against Cal. Defense, defense, defense. On Wednesday, Stanford had a harder time scoring than I did in high school. Yeah, they had 64 points, but they didn't come easy. The Cardinal only shot 39% from the field. 39%! That's Hall of Fame stuff in baseball, but not so much in basketball. And check this out. Stanford only had 4 assists in the entire game. Let me repeat that. Stanford, as a team, only had 4 assists. That doesn't happen without a Sun Devil team playing inspired D. And I mean, even though the Golden Bears look more like the Bronze Bears down in Tucson, ASU's got to play with that kind of heart in order to pull this off.
You see, I also got three keys too, and those things are going to decide the winner here. You see, the rebounds, going easy on the fouls, and who can stop the other team's big man. I mean, they're both average rebounding teams. Last game these two teams met, they went 12 for 20 from the line, or Cal did, and ASU went 24 for 33. No team should be giving up 33 free throws for another team. That's just way too many. As far as big men go, if the guards can effectively feed the big men, since guards mostly do all the work, I think that whatever team can effectively feed the big men will come out on top.
All right, unlike my panel mates, I don't have any keys for you, but I have this. Jesus walked, or should I say stomped, all over Stanford. He dropped 26 points. He went 8 for 8 from the charity stripe. He's red hot. Cal Bears, not so much. They were on the receiving end of a dunking clinic in Tucson. Their paint D looked virtually non-existent. Look for Jordan Baczynski to throw it down hard and often. And hey, we might even see some Shaction. That's right, you heard it first. I think Mr. McKissick is going to go hard in the paint. Shouts out to Waka. Lucas?
It should be an exciting matchup for ASU in their last home game. I know they're looking to do some hashtag bear shaming. Now it's time to hear what's the word on these Phoenix streets, giving us that student perspective, the always informative Heat on the Street Crew.
Here with Johnny Soto on the downtown Phoenix campus.
ASU coming off a big win against Stanford. We'll see what the students have to say and think if they have a shot of making the big dance.
Do you know what ASU basketball is currently ranked in the Pac-12?
Fourth, 28, 9-6 in Pac-12.
I honestly have no idea.
Well, if there's 12, it's definitely not 13.
No. I think they're ranked 3rd, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do you know the last time ASU made the big dance? What year?
I do not know, no.
Maybe 1999.
I'd say, I don't know, 2006, 2008. I'm throwing out numbers here.
2008 or 9 when Harden was here.
Now, do you believe ASU has a shot this year to make the tournament?
I have faith.
I definitely think we do. We definitely have to pick it up against teams that I believe that are worse than us.
Yeah. Of course, we're definitely going to win.
I think they're doing really well, and I mean, I don't really follow basketball, but it's basketball, right?
Yeah.
I think we have a shot.
Yeah.
Go Sun Devils.
Well, it sure seemed like the downtown campus knew a little bit more than the Tempe campus.
Yeah, they seem to get a lot of the questions right.
I guess it's something in the Phoenix air.
I guess so. They're also very optimistic about ASU's chances of making the big dance.
That is very true, but first they take on Cal this Saturday.
Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Kristen and Johnny. Great work. It sounds like the students are pretty optimistic about the Devils' chances in March. Also, shout out to our producer, Trevor, for the dope intro. Switching our attention to the females, the number 20 ranked Sun Devils took care of business last weekend, beating Utah 60-40 in ASU's final home game of the season. Joy Burke was the leading scorer with 11, and Deja Mann also added 10 points. The Sun Devils are now tied for third place in the Pac-12 standings, just one game behind the number 18 ranked Cal Golden Bears. ASU heads to Eugene to take on the Ducks tonight and then will play their last home game of the regular season against Oregon State on Sunday. 2 out of 3 of us here on the Inferno picked the Syracuse to lose to Duke, yours truly included. However, the Orange redeemed themselves barely when they beat Maryland earlier this week. Anyway, Kansas is on a 4-game winning streak, and speaking of streaks, how about them Shockers? Giving us more insight on the top stories is Angela Denohian. Angela, what's going on in college basketball USA?
Thanks, Lucas. Syracuse faced Duke on Saturday, and Coach Jim Boeheim went crazy on refs. CJ Fair was called for a charge, and Boeheim went off. He was then ejected with 10.4 seconds left in the game, and Duke took the W 66-60. In an interview with ESPN Radio, Boeheim said, "There's no question, I went too far." Kansas has now won 10 straight Big 12 titles under Coach Bill Self. The Jayhawks defeated Oklahoma 83-75 at home, and Joel Embiid ended the game with 12 points and 13 rebounds. There are only 2 other teams who have earned more consecutive titles than Kansas. UCLA won 13 straight from 1967 to 1979, and in the West Coast Conference, Gonzaga won 11 straight from 2001 to 2011. Wichita State is the last undefeated team standing and became the first Division I team to have a 30-0 streak Tuesday night. Ron Baker was the top performer as the Shockers defeated Bradley 69-49. Baker had 15 points and 6 rebounds. The Shockers play their last game of the season at home against Missouri State on Saturday and hope to come out on top to complete an undefeated season. Lucas?
Speaking of top performers, let's take a look at the players of the week. Guys, who are the POT dubs?
All right, guys, I know this is sort of breaking one of the unspoken rules of the Inferno, but my player of the week is a Wildcat, Nick Johnson, coming straight out the dirty T. Watch him, though. All right, it was actually Bears head coach Mike Montgomery's birthday, but Arizona head coach Sean Miller and the Wildcats crowd trying to ruin the poor guy's special day. They did successfully. All right, here we go. Nick Johnson coming in, blows out the candles with this nasty jam. Nick Johnson got the fast break, coming in again, going in for seconds. Nope, gets it off. That pass doesn't even exist in video games. Do it on 2K. It'll read corrupt disc. Here he's just showing off. I got the dunk. I got range though too. Boom shakalaka. Brings out the NBA jam right there. Wildcats won that bout 87-59. Johnson dropped 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. Did I sell you on him?
No.
Well, I tried.
I'm going to have to go with my play of the week is Wayne Selden Jr. from Kansas. As you see here, nice on a nice 3-ball, and he gets the not so swish, but it went in. That's what matters. Again, he's going to have to pick up his dribble, give his teammate right back. From a long range, swish, nothing but net. What's he gonna do? Dribble, pull up, psych, I'm gonna pass it to my boy Wiggins so he can get his 3-game going. And that's what put him, that's what gave him a great lead over Oklahoma, and they ended up winning, and the crowd was just loving it. Joe, who do you got?
All right, for my player of the week, I wanted to go with the refs from the Duke-Syracuse game, but instead, I'm going to Wichita. Far from this opera forevermore.
All right,
anybody?
Jack
Anybody?
White, no.
7 Nation Army. All right, Ron Baker gets a nod. Here he is, throwing it down. Boom, and here we go. Drives, kicks, buckets. Clay Anthony Early nails that one. And here we go. Shot clock winding down. Aaron wide open. Buries it. Kid can do it all. I mean, the Shockers are 30-0 after all. He only had 15 points, but I had to go somebody.
Did you have to sing, though?
No.
Thank you for blessing us with your singing talents, Joe. And Anthony, you're the first one on the show to show some love for the Arizona Wildcats. But Nick Johnson has played better in every game this season since his 14-point loss or performance in the loss to ASU. With their 2 losses, Wildcats remain in the top 10. Angela, what are the rest of the standings looking like?
Yeah, let's take a quick look at the top 10 teams. Florida made its way to the number 1 spot this week with a 26-2 record. Arizona's in the 3rd spot, and Kansas ranks 5th with a record of 22-6. Duke sits in 6th, and Villanova in the 8th slot. Well, St. Louis wraps up the top 10 with 25-3. Lucas?
Thanks, Angela. Will Wichita State ever reach that coveted number 1 spot with an undefeated season? Maybe. Gentlemen, bust out those whiteboards because it's that time of the show. Pick 'em. The defending champion 7th-ranked Louisville Cardinals are heading to Tennessee to take on the number 21-ranked Memphis Tigers. Will the Cards lose to the Tigers again?
Well, I mean, if you're just looking at the AP, as he said, 7th in the AP versus 21st in the AP seems obvious, but I don't think so. Memphis and Louisville, very similar statistically, and Memphis has better off-ball movement.
All right. Well, Memphis already beat Louisville in Louisville, so I see no reason why they can't do that. Like I could do it in Memphis. See, I got my little tiger. What you got, Miles?
I like that. Can I see you drawing again?
Here you go.
No.
What about mine?
I got the defending champs, Louisville. You see, they're going on a 7-game winning streak. Memphis hasn't got a lot going for them. Their leading score's not doing so. They only came off a 7-point game, and they barely beat Temple, and Cardinals beat Temple by 22. So I'm going with the Cardinals.
The Virginia Cavaliers are not only ranked 12th in the nation, they're at the top of the ACC standings with only one loss to Duke in the conference. It gets serious tomorrow when they host Syracuse. Does this smell like an upset alert?
No. Hughes has had a rough couple of weeks. Tempers have flared, Coach. But I think they're all done losing. I don't know.
You see, I'm going to have to go with the upset. Get it? Because he's upset? I know, I'm hilarious. I'm going with the upset. You see, I know I pick against the Orange all the time, but they're pretty much falling apart ever since their loss. So, and plus, Virginia's better at like rebounding and assists, which will be huge for this game. And they're going to knock down the 3-ball a lot because the perimeter defense falling apart. So I'm going to go with Virginia.
All right, Virginia is the most overrated team in the nation. I mean, look at their schedule. Who have they played? Nobody. Got to go with the Orange right here.
My angry Orange has appendages.
Well, my guys
Have a new number 1 in the nation with the Florida Gators, who clinched a share of the SEC title last night with a win over Vanderbilt. They have been on quite the winning streak as they haven't lost since early December. Will the Bayou Bengals from LSU challenge the Gators' winning ways?
Nope, I think that the Florida Gators. Yep, there you go.
A little oven mitt there.
You know what? It has eyes, so it's a gator. I think that the Florida Gators are going to remain on top. They're going to remain number 1. I mean, they're number 1 for a reason. They got a lot of things going for them. And frankly, LSU's most of their losses have been on the road, and they're on the road. They're going to be playing in the Gators' house, so I think that's why they're going to lose.
I don't know. I'd have to agree with you. It's a must-win game for LSU. Not going to happen, though. It's not the 90s anymore. They don't have Shaq.
All right, I can give you stats on stats on stats as to why Florida's going to win this game. But I mean, come on. They ain't number 1 for nothing. Got to go with the Gators.
So everyone's going with Florida. But with the conference tournament starting in a couple weeks, things are starting to get exciting. And I must say that being on this show should help me fill out a mean bracket this year, hopefully. Anyway, thank you to all our production team who make this show what it is. I'm Lucas Robbins, and this has been The Inferno. We'll see y'all next Friday.